Enter Merriman. Mr. Grimsby. Merriman goes out. Enter Grimsby. Mr. Ernest Worthing. This is Mr. Ernest Worthing. Mr. Ernest Worthing. Yes. Of B4 the Albany. Yes, that is my address. I am very sorry, sir, but we have a writ of attachment for 20 days against you at the suit of the Savoy Hotel Co. Limited for £762 14 and 2. Against me? Yes, sir. What perfect nonsense. I never dine at the Savoy at my own expense. I always dine at Willis's. It is far more expensive. I don't owe a penny to the Savoy. The writ is marked as having been served on you personally at the Albany on May the 27th. Judgment was given in default against you on the 5th of June. Since then we have written to you no less than 15 times without receiving any reply. In the interest of our clients, we had no option but to obtain an order for committal of your person. Committal? What on earth do you mean by committal? I haven't the smallest intention of going away. I am staying here for a week. I am staying with my brother. If you imagine I am going up to town the moment I arrive, you are extremely mistaken. I am merely a solicitor myself. I do not employ personal violence of any kind. The officer of the court, whose function it is to seize the person of the debtor, is waiting in the fly outside. He has considerable experience in these matters. That is why we always employ him, but no doubt you will prefer to pay the bill. Pay it? How on earth am I going to do that? You don't suppose I have got any money? How perfectly silly you are. No gentleman ever has any money. My experience is that it is usually relations who pay. Jack, you really must settle this bill. Kindly allow me to see the particular items, Mr. Grimsby. 762.14.2 since last October. I am bound to say I never saw such reckless extravagance in all my life. 762 for eating? There can be little good in any young man who eats so much and so often. We are far away from Wordsworth's plain living and high thinking. Now, Dr. Chasuble, do you consider that I am in any way called upon to pay this monstrous account for my brother? I am bound to say I do not think so. It would be encouraging his profligacy. As a man sows, so let him reap. This proposed incarceration might be most salutary. It is to be regretted that it is only for 20 days. I am quite of your opinion. My dear fellow, how ridiculous you are. You know perfectly well that that bill is really yours. Mine? Yes, you know it is. Mr. Worthing, if this is a jest, it is out of place. It is a gross effrontery, just what I expected from him. And it is ingratitude. I didn't expect that. Never mind what he says. This is the way he always goes on. You mean now to say that you are not Ernest Worthing, residing at B4 the Albany? I wonder, as you are at it, that you don't deny being my brother at all. Why don't you? Oh, I am not going to do that, my dear fellow. It would be absurd. Of course I'm your brother, and that is why you should pay this bill for me. I will tell you quite candidly that I have not the smallest intention of doing anything of the kind. Dr. Chasuble, the worthy rector of this parish, and Miss Prism, in whose admirable and sound judgment I place great reliance, are both of the opinion that incarceration would do you a great deal of good, and I think so too. I am sorry to disturb this pleasant family meeting, but time presses. We have to be at Holloway no later than 4 o'clock. Otherwise, it is difficult to obtain admission. The rules are very strict. Holloway? It is at Holloway that detentions of this character take place always. Well, I really am not going to be imprisoned in the suburbs for having dined in the West End. The bill is for suppers, not for dinners. I really don't care. All I say is that I am not going to be imprisoned in the suburbs. The surroundings, I admit, are middle class, but the jail itself is fashionable and well aired, and there are ample opportunities of taking exercise at certain stated hours of the day. In the case of a medical certificate, which is always easy to obtain, the hours can be extended. Exercise? Good God! No gentleman ever takes exercise. You don't seem to understand what a gentleman is. I have met so many of them, sir, that I am afraid I don't. There are the most curious varieties of them, the result of cultivation, no doubt. Will you kindly come now, sir, if it will not be inconvenient to you? Jack! Pray be firm, Mr. Worthing. This is an occasion on which any weakness would be out of place. It would be a form of self-deception. I am quite firm, and I don't know what weakness or deception of any kind is. Uncle Jack, I think you have a little money of mine, haven't you? Let me pay this bill. I wouldn't like your own brother to be in prison. Oh, I couldn't possibly let you pay, Cecily. That would be absurd. Then you will, won't you? I think you would be sorry if you thought your own brother was shut up. Of course, I am quite disappointed with him. You won't speak to him again, Cecily, will you? Certainly not, unless, of course, he speaks to me first. It would be very rude not to answer him. Well, I'll take care he doesn't speak to you. I'll take care he doesn't speak to anybody in this house. The man should be cut. Mr. Grimsby. Yes, sir. I'll pay this bill for my brother. It is the last bill I shall ever pay for him too. How much is it? 762 14 Ah, the cab will be 5 and 9 pence extra, hired for the convenience of the client. All right. I must say that I think such generosity quite foolish. The heart has its wisdom as well as the head, Miss Prism. Payable to Parker and Grimsby, I suppose. Yes, sir. Kindly don't cross the check. Thank you. Good day. Good day. I hope I shall have the pleasure of meeting you again. I sincerely hope not. What ideas you have of the sort of society a gentleman wants to mix in. No gentleman ever wants to know a solicitor who wants to imprison one in the suburbs. Quite so. Quite so. By the way, Grimsby, you are not to go back into the station in that cab. That is my cab. It was taken for my convenience. You have got to walk to the station, and a very good thing too. Solicitors don't walk nearly enough. I don't know any solicitor who takes sufficient exercise. As a rule, they sit in stuffy offices all day long, neglecting their business. You can take the cab, Mr. Grimsby. Thank you, sir. Grimsby goes out. The day is getting very sultry, isn't it, Dr. Chasuble? There is thunder in the air. The atmosphere requires to be cleared. Have you read the Times this morning, Mr. Worthing? There is a very interesting article on the growth of religious feeling among the laity. I am keeping it for after dinner. Enter Merriman. Luncheon is on the table, sir. Ah, that is good news. I am excessively hungry. But you have lunched already. Lunched already? Yes, Uncle Jack. We had some pâté de foie gras sandwiches and a small bottle of that champagne that your doctor ordered for you. My 89 champagne? Yes, I thought you would like him to have the same one as yourself. Oh, well, if he has lunched once, he can't be expected to lunch twice. It would be absurd. To partake of 2 luncheons in one day would not be liberty. It would be license. Even the pagan philosophers condemned excess in eating. Aristotle speaks of it with severity. He uses the same terms about it as he does about usury. Doctor, will you escort the ladies into luncheon? With pleasure. He goes into the house with Miss Prism and Cecily. Your Bunburying has not been a great success after all, Algy. I don't think it is a good day for Bunburying myself. Oh, there are ups and downs of Bunburying, just as there are in anything else. I'd be all right if you would let me have some lunch. The main thing is that I have seen Cecily, and she is a darling. You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it. Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth don't you go up and change? It is perfectly childish to be in deep mourning for a man who is actually staying for a whole week with you in your house as a guest. I call it grotesque. You are certainly not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave by the 4:05 train. I certainly won't leave you so long as you are in mourning. It would be most unfriendly. If I were in mourning, you would stay with me, I suppose. I should think it very unkind if you didn't. Well, will you go if I change my clothes? Yes, if you are not too long. I never saw anybody take so long to dress, and with such little result. Well, at any rate, that is better than being always overdressed as you are. If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated. Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden absolutely absurd. However, you have got to catch the 4:05, and I hope you will have a pleasant journey back to town. This bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you. I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. It is all very well, but one can't bunbury when one is hungry. I think I'll join them at lunch. Enter Cecily. I promised Uncle Jack that I wouldn't speak to you again unless you asked me a question. I can't understand why you don't ask me a question of some kind. I'm afraid you are not quite so intellectual as I thought you were at first. Cecily, mayn't I come in to lunch? I wonder you can look me in the face after your conduct. I love looking you in the face. But why did you try to put your horrid bill on poor Uncle Jack? I think that was inexcusable of you. I know it was, but the fact is I have a most wretched memory. I quite forgot I owed the Savoy 762.14.2. Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a bad memory. Good memory is not a quality that women admire much in men. Cecily, I am fearfully hungry. I can't understand your being so hungry, considering all you have had to eat since last October. Oh, those suppers were for poor Bunbury. Late suppers are the only things his doctor allows him to eat. Well, I don't wonder then that Mr. Bunbury is always so ill, if he eats suppers for 6 or 8 people every night of the week. That is what I always tell him. But he seems to think his doctors know best. He's perfectly silly about doctors. Of course, I don't want you to starve, so I have told the butler to send you out some lunch. Cecily, what a perfect angel you are. May I not see you again before I go? Miss Prism and I will be here after lunch. I always have my afternoon lessons under the yew tree. Can't you invent something to get Miss Prism out of the way? Do you mean invent a falsehood? Oh, not a falsehood, of course. Simply something that is not quite true but should be. I'm afraid I couldn't possibly do that. I shouldn't know how. People never think of cultivating a young girl's imagination. It is the great defect of modern education. Of course, if you happen to mention that dear Dr. Chasuble was waiting somewhere to see Miss Prism, she would certainly go to meet him. She never likes to keep him waiting, and she has so few opportunities of doing so. What a capital suggestion. I don't suggest anything, Cousin Ernest. Nothing would induce me to deceive Miss Prism in the smallest detail. I merely pointed out that if you adopted a certain line of conduct, a certain result would follow. Of course. I beg your pardon, Cousin Cecily. Then I shall come here at 3:30. I have something very serious to say to you. Serious? Yes, very serious. In that case, I think we had better meet in the house. I don't like talking seriously in the open air. It looks so artificial. Then where shall we meet? Enter Jack. The dog cart is at the door. You have got to go. Your place is by Bunbury. Cecily, don't you think, Cecily, that you had better return to Miss Prism and Dr. Chasuble? Yes, Uncle Jack. Goodbye, Cousin Ernest. I'm afraid I shan't see you again, as I shall be doing my lessons with Miss Prism in the drawing-room at 3:30. Goodbye, Cousin Cecily. You have been very kind to me. Cecily goes out. Now look here, Algy. You have got to go, and the sooner you go, the better. Bunbury is exceedingly ill, and your place is by his side. I can't go at the present moment. I must first just have my second lunch, and you will be pleased to hear that Bunbury is very much better. Well, you will have to go at 3:50 at any rate. I ordered your things to be packed and the dog cart to come around. Act drop. Act 3. Scene. The drawing room at the manor house. Cecily and Miss Prism discovered, each writing at a separate table. Cecily, Cecily, you are again making entries in your diary. I think I have had occasion more than once to speak to you about that morbid habit of yours. I am merely, as I always do, taking you for my example, Miss Prism. When one has thoroughly mastered the principles of bimetallism, one has the right to lead an introspective life. Hardly before. I must beg you to return to your political economy. In one moment, Miss Prism. The fact is, I have only chronicled the events of today up till 2:15, and it was at 2:30 that the fearful catastrophe occurred. Pardon me, Cecily, it was exactly at 2:45 that Dr. Chasuble mentioned the very painful views held by the primitive church on marriage. I was not referring to Dr. Chasuble at all. I was alluding to the tragic exposure of Mr. Ernest Worthing. I highly disapprove of Mr. Ernest Worthing. He is a thoroughly bad young man. I fear I must be. It is the only explanation I can find of his strange attractiveness. Cecily, let me entreat you not to be led away by whatever superficial qualities this unfortunate young man may possess. Ah, believe me, Miss Prism, it is only the superficial qualities that last. Man's deeper nature is soon found out. Child, I do not know where you get such ideas. They are certainly not to be found in any of the improving books I have procured for you. Are there ever any ideas in improving books? I fear not. I get my ideas in the garden. Then you should certainly not be so much in the open air. The fact is, you have fallen lately, Cecily, into a bad habit of thinking for yourself. You should give it up. It is not quite womanly. Men don't like it. Enter Algernon. Mr. Worthing, I thought I may say I was in hopes that you had already returned to town. My departure will not be long delayed. I have come to bid you goodbye, Miss Cardew. I am informed that a dog cart has already been ordered for me. I have no option but to go back again into the cold world. I hardly know, Mr. Worthing, what you can mean by using such an expression. The day, even for the month of July, is unusually warm. Profligacy is apt to dull the senses. No doubt. I am far from defending the weather. I think, however, that it is only my duty to mention to you, Miss Prism, that Dr. Chasuble is expecting you in the vestry. In the vestry? That sounds serious. It can hardly be for any trivial purpose that the rector selects for an interview a place of such peculiarly solemn associations. I do not think that it would be right to keep him waiting. Cecily? It would be very, very wrong. The vestry is, I am told, excessively damp. Oh, I had not thought of that. And Dr. Chasuble is sadly rheumatic. Mr. Worthing, we should probably not meet again. You will allow me, I trust, to express the sincere hope that you will now turn over a new leaf in life. I have already begun an entire volume, Miss Prism. I am delighted to hear it. Puts on a large, unbecoming hat. And do not forget that there is always hope, even for the most depraved. Do not be idle, Cecily. I have no intention of being idle. I realize only too strongly that I have a great deal of serious work before me. As it should be, dear. Miss Prism goes out. This parting, Miss Cardew, is very painful. It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable. Thank you. Enter Merriman. The dog cart is at the door, sir. It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes. Yes, miss. Exit Merriman. I hope, Cecily, I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection. I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary. Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it. May I? Oh, no. You see, it is simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication when it appears in volume form. I hope you will order a copy, but pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Ahem. Oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough. Miss Cardew, ever since 12:30 this afternoon, when I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have not merely been your abject slave and servant, but soaring upon the pinions of a possibly monstrous ambition, I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Oh, please say that all over again. You speak far too fast and far too indistinctly. Kindly say it all over again. Miss Cardew, ever since you are 12:30, I mean, ever since it was 12:30 this afternoon, when I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty. I have got that right. I, I, Cecily lays down her pen and looks reproachfully at him. I have not merely been your abject slave and servant, but soaring on the pinions of a possibly monstrous ambition. I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Takes out his watch and looks at it. I have not taken down hopelessly. It doesn't seem to make very much sense, does it? Cecily? Is that the beginning of an entirely new paragraph, or should it be followed by a note of admiration? It is the beginning of an entirely new existence for me, and it should be followed by such notes of admiration that my whole life shall be settled and sustained symphony of love, praise and adoration combined. Oh, I don't think that makes any sense at all. The fact is that men should never try to dictate to women. They never know how to do it, and when they do it, they always say something peculiarly foolish. I don't care whether what I say is foolish or not. All that I know is I love you, Cecily. I love you. I want you. I can't live without you, Cecily. You know I love you. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife? Oh, you have made me a, make a blot, and yours is the only real proposal I have ever had in my life. I should like to have entered it neatly. Enter Merriman. The dog cart is waiting, sir. Tell her to come round next week at the same hour. Yes, sir. Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week at the same hour. Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care for anybody in the whole world but you. I love you. Cecily, you will marry me, won't you? You silly boy, of course. Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months. For the last 3 months? 3 months all but a few days. Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday. I didn't know. Very few people nowadays ever realize the position in which they are placed. The age is, as Miss Prism often says, a thoughtless one. But how did we become engaged? Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you of course have formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And, of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest. Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled? On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you one evening in the garden. The next day I brought this little ring in your name. You see, I always wear it, Ernest, and though it shows that you are sadly extravagant still, I have long ago forgiven you for that. Here in this drawer are all the little presents I have given you from time to time, neatly numbered and labeled. This is the pearl necklace you gave me on my birthday, and this is the box in which I keep all your letters. My letters? By my own sweet Cecily, I have never written you any letters. You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember it only too well. I grew tired of asking the postman every morning if he had a London letter for me. My health began to give way under the strain and anxiety, so I wrote your letters for you and had them posted to me in the village by my maid. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener. Oh, do let me read them, Cecily. Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off the engagement were so beautiful and so badly spelt that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little. But was our engagement ever broken off? Of course it was. On the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Earnest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming. But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? I had done nothing at all, Cecily. I am very much hurt indeed to hear you broke it off, particularly when the weather was so charming. Men seem to forget very easily. I should have thought you would have remembered the violent letter you wrote to me because I danced with Lord Kelso at the county ball. But I did take it all back, Cecily, didn't I? Of course you did. Otherwise I wouldn't have forgiven you or accepted this little gold bangle with the turquoise and diamond heart that you sent me the next day. Did I give you this, Cecily? It's very pretty, isn't it? Yes, you have wonderfully good taste, Ernest. I have always said that of you. It's the excuse I have always given you for leading such a bad life. My own one. So we have been engaged for 3 months, Cecily. You know, yes, the time has flown, hasn't it? I don't think so. I have found the days very long and very dreary without you. You dear romantic boy. I hope your hair curls naturally, does it? Yes, darling, with a little help from others. I am so glad. You'll never break off our engagement again, Cecily. I don't think I could break it off now that I've actually met you. Besides, of course, there is the question of your name. Yes, of course. You must not laugh at me, darling, but it had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest. But, my dear child, do you mean to say you could not love me if I had some other name? But what name? Oh, any you like. Algernon, for instance. But I don't like the name of Algernon. Well, my own dear, sweet, loving little darling, I really can't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not at all a bad name. In fact, it is rather an aristocratic name. Half of the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algy, couldn't you love me? I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I fear I should not be able to give you my undivided attention. Ahem, Cecily, your rector is here. I suppose he is thoroughly experienced in the practice of all the rites and ceremonials of the church. Oh yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows. I must see him at once on a most important christening. On most important business. Oh, I shan't be away more than half an hour. Considering that we have been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes? I'll be back in no time. What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary. Thank you for letting me read to you tonight. Please check the description for where to buy my art, and check my channel page if you would like to support my work with a one-time contribution. Bye!